Yes vote now, but Congressman Joe Barton was among the holdouts in the House, refusing early on last Thursday with a few dozen other conservatives to back the president's and Speaker Ryan's repeal of Obamacare. House Republicans had 7 years to figure out a path forward, but had yet to agree for weeks and even days on what that path forward might look like. Alana Rocha is in for Ross Ramsey this morning down in Austin, one of the sharp political reporters at the Texas Tribune. Alana, good to see you.
Thank you.
Will there be any political consequences for the mess that happened last Thursday when the vote had to be delayed?
I think that, you're not going to please everyone. The lawmakers have acknowledged that, but we're going into this vote as a balancing act, please the president or, please constituents, because it doesn't seem, they were making concessions left and right. And when they pleased to say the Freedom Caucus, which many of the Texas Republicans are members of, that wanted certain provisions struck out, like providing mental health as well as maternity leave and those services as well. You alienated then the more moderate Republicans here in the state.
There's an interesting story underway right now down in College Station. Texas A&M is about to get its first openly gay student president next month. But U.S. Energy Secretary, former Governor Rick Perry, he attended A&M and he's getting involved, saying the election was rigged and insisting the real winner is the son of a Republican donor. Why is he even meddling in this?
It seemed like a coordinated rollout after, we saw Secretary Perry's post in the Houston Chronicle. There were also posts from Empower Texans, which Michael Quinn Sullivan, also an Aggie, runs and posted, and then watchdog.org questioning campaign finance and that this could be a potential fallout of that system. So, I've made the pun of why the Energy Secretary in his new role has the energy to meddle in a student election, and I think many are questioning that.
Well, good pun too, by the way. Finally, school choice, which gives parents state money to pay for private schools. That passed committees and expected to pass the full Senate. But why hasn't the House Public Education Committee taken up similar bills on this?
Dan Huberty, the higher ed chairman in the House, has said that this legislation would likely be dead on arrival. I believe he is going to give it a hearing. But like both Speaker Strauss and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick have said this week in radio interviews, they have different audiences. Dan Patrick is looking at the whole state as far as his voters, and the different House members are looking at many of whom represent rural counties who might not have access to private schools. Often many don't. This might not appeal to them.
And we'll talk about those different audiences a little more in just a moment. Alana, back to you in just a second here.